Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, 8 months out, and we're starting to get a picture of what E3 won't be. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including that Detective Pikachu trailer. And then on Thursday, come back because we are going to be talking about Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I promise this whole week of shows isn't just about Pokemon. There's other stuff too. Mark, how you doing?
I'm feeling festive, Patrick.
Yes, tell me why.
Okay, so don't be mad. I know we reached an accord.
Yes.
You know, I said that I wanted to start playing Christmas music 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
You said, come on, you can at least hold out until after Thanksgiving, to which I agreed. And then today I broke that truce.
You agreed, reluctantly, and I believe a week after we had the conversation.
Well, anyways, I started listening to Christmas music on my ride over here.
Uh-huh.
I was feeling great.
What are your go-tos
Goodwill
right
for everybody. Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have a Christmas mix downloaded to my phone 365 days a year, but I don't play it.
You don't clear it up just to get some room on your phone?
No.
Okay.
I download very few songs to my phone because most of them just like streaming music. But Christmas, I want to make sure I have access to, even if I have bad cellular data.
Even if you're in a subway tunnel and the train car gets stopped and it's one of those underground railways that doesn't have free Wi-Fi.
And I'm feeling a Carpenter Christmas, I want to be able to play it.
You got to have access to it.
So anyways, it's like 4.5 hours of Christmas music that
Right.
I put on shuffle and just let it wash over me. It was great.
And so that's where you are right now.
Yep.
Feeling festive. It's a little bit chilly in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You and I are drinking a nice red wine right now. Getting in the mood here.
Yes, absolutely.
And also, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving together this year.
Uh-huh.
I think this is going to be. We're in a festive mode now. A festive time.
Oh yeah, we have totally put the car into gear.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas.
And that gear, F for festive, or X
yeah, for sure.
for Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas starts with an X. You know what else starts with an X? Being friends with us on Switch. It doesn't start with an X. But if you would like to do that, all you have to do is find our friend codes in the description of this episode and plug them into your little Switch machine. And then you can be friends with us on Switch and see what we're playing.
Just a friendly reminder, don't be thrown when you enter my friend code and it comes up as Ace.
Right. That's Mark's gamer tag.
It's my gamer persona, if you will.
Oh, and I will. I recently changed my little profile image back to a me.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that a bunch of my friends were using the me's, and I thought it was cute, and some of them were posed in ways that I was like, it is very funny and appropriate that friend chose that posture, and so I thought I should do that for me, and I did, and I've never been happier. Mark, we've got some guest weather to get to today, but by way of an email from our good friend Adam. Adam says, "Hey guys, I would like to request guest weather for Townsville, Queensland, Australia." So let's do that and then get to the rest of his email. Looks like they're having a nice it's Australia, so they're having a nice summer, right? It's 85 degrees, sunny, maybe even a little too warm. Humidity of 56%. My goodness.
That's a lot of humidity.
That's so much humidity. Wind
more than half.
Yeah. So it's maybe you need an umbrella, but it's not going to rain. Don't be fooled. So it seems like it's beautiful there. The rest of Adam's email goes on to read, Thank you for talking about my picks for the top NES games. I've recently dived back into the Virtual Console and replayed a lot of games on that list. Now, this is Patrick jumping back in here just to remind everyone that our list of our top 8 NES games has, of course, been rendered non-definitive.
Although it's still enjoying definitive status Through the end of the
year. That's right. So get those in as early as you can, Adam. He says, "What I was thinking about with Kid Icarus, or what was I thinking with Kid Icarus? I don't even know. I don't even know. All I know is that it's terrible. I've realized now that I have rose-colored glasses when it comes to games. I played as a kid. Shadows of the Empire. Need I say more?
No, you really don't.
You really don't." He says, "Needless to say, if I could do it over again, I would pick something different. I've also noticed that you can get Sega Mega Drive games on the VC for 3DS. That's the virtual console for 3DS. Needless to say, I will be playing a lot of classics for the next month or so." That's it. Regards, Adam. Do you have a place in your heart for Sega Master Drive games, Mark?
I don't know that I've ever played one.
Me too?
Big ups to all of our listeners in Townsville City, Australia. Does that feel like a little RPG town name-ish?
City?
Yeah.
Like it's just not real.
I mean, it's a lot of it feels like a lot of words for the same thing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Townsville, Cityburg, USA, Australia. Mark, we've got a debug to get to.
This one's my fault, and I hate saying that. You know I hate saying that.
I do know it, but I love to hear it.
Okay, so last week, when we were in our 200th episode spectacular, we got to our list of the 8 best NES games, and Patrick, you said something to the effect of, "We did this last week." And I was like, there is no way that is possible. There's no way it was only a week ago,
right,
from when we were recording our 200th episode. But it
was.
Yeah.
It
was. It felt like
really
a million years ago.
No, it was 1 week. Here's my theory, Mark. It was our 200th episode spectacular. We had an enormous in-studio audience. You were a little bit nervous. You were excited. And, some of the facts get muddled in your head.
Yeah, who's to say?
No one's to say. Don't write in about that. But if you would like to write in and borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, you are more than welcome to. All you have to do is send us your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And then I send you my copy of Sonic Forces, and that's it. You can play it as long as you want, and then send it back. That's all of it. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
I've been playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
Yes.
So come back on Thursday.
And we will talk more about that.
Chat about that.
But it may interest you to learn that I have not been playing any Pokemon Let's Go, except for the little bit that I played with Mark. But it's not... We've had many conversations about, are you going to get this, Patrick? And to this point in time, the answer is no. Mark, what else have you been playing?
We also played some Diablo 3 this weekend.
Yeah, we did. That game remains a fun,
diversion?
Hypnotic time waster. So when we were playing before, I had logged in as a guest, and you created a new character because you had done like a season character.
Right, and when you're playing with a guest, the guest can't create a season character, so I had to create a normal character.
Right. Well, and maybe I should have just not logged in as a guest. I should have been like me on your Switch, right?
Right. I think that would have remedied it.
Because the way it shook out, I had to start a new character when we played this time. Started a barbarian. I was a wizard last time. And at first I was like, oh no, I don't want to, because you were like level 12 or something. And I was like, I don't want to start all over from 0. But it turns out that when you're rolling around with someone who's leveling in the teens and you're at 1, you level up pretty quick.
Yeah, by the time we finished playing, I had gained like 1 or 2 levels,
and I was
you were
like
basically
level 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still a fun, weird game. I mean, like, I get why it's fun, but I almost don't get why people are so passionate about Diablo, right? Like, there was the whole thing about Diablo Immortal a couple weeks ago where, like, the hardcore Diablo fans got real mad about it. And I'm just like, hardcore Diablo fan? Like, what?
Some people really get into the lore. I was actually talking to somebody today who, they've been playing Diablo since the first game, and they want to do all the side quests and talk to everybody because, like, the lore of the world is what interests them so much about the game.
See, now that is not how we were playing the game, because when it came to any conversation or any cutscene.
Oh, we cannot mash that B button fast enough.
Oh man, we love jamming, bashing, mashing that B button as fast as you can. Just like skip. Which is weird. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I was enjoying the way we were playing it, but it certainly does seem like we are playing it in a way that the game does not intend to be played, right? Like it wants you to enjoy these conversations, and we're like, nah.
Yeah, but that's how I play every game.
All
I
right.
very rarely am like care about the lore in a video game.
So speaking of, I've been playing The Messenger still, which is full of writing that I really like, and so I read every word that runs across that little screen. But now that I'm into the more like Metroidvania part of it, there isn't as much dialogue, so the game doesn't seem quite as like fun and funny. Not that it's not fun; I'm still really enjoying it, and I continue to open up like new levels and new areas, and I really like that game. And someday I swear I will finish it. Another thing, Mark, I made a discovery this week.
Tell me about it.
The Wii U Virtual Console has Game Boy Advance games.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we knew. I played the Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion maybe like a year ago, and that's how I played them. And I've got both the Fire Emblem games on there and Golden Sun and some other stuff. But I recently made the discovery that you can play Game Boy Advance games and Super Nintendo games using a Super NES Classic Edition controller plugged into a Wii remote on your TV or on your Wii U gamepad.
That's awesome.
It's like the perfect way to play these games. So I've been using it to sort of put some time into Golden Sun, which is a game I've knocked a couple times. For being too chatty. It's still too chatty. But actually getting in and playing with a controller that feels right in my hand, I love. I don't know if anyone has bested the Super Nintendo controller. It feels perfect in my hand. And I understand that it lacks a lot of things that you need to play modern games, but like if you don't need those things, the Super Nintendo controller is perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I will probably be in the next couple weeks, maybe the next year. I will just continue to report on old Game Boy Advance games that I'm playing for the first time on my Wii U.
Here's a fun thing: is if we wanted to, which we don't, we could sing a parody version of Black Hole Sun using the words Golden Sun.
So we could do that. I don't want to do that. Mark, let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, Warframe is available on the Switch eShop.
That's exciting for people who are interested in Warframe.
And I'm going to pick it up because why not? It's free to play. Might as well try it out.
Speaking of free to play, Brawlhalla is free to play on your Switch.
That's the like Smash like game that includes Shovel Knight and Rayman.
Yes, I believe so. And then the other Smash like that includes like indie characters is Brawl Out, and that includes Juan from Guacamelee. And
is Shovel Knight in that one?
No, I don't think so. I think Shovel Knight is in Brawlhalla. But yeah, Juan from Guacamelee and Yooka-Laylee are both in Brawl Out.
And YouTubers Life OMG edition.
Have you seen the like just the little thumbnail for this game?
No.
It looks super obnoxious. I don't know what this game is. I've just seen a ton of people like screen grabbing it and being like, "What is this?"
I hope it's very successful.
Mm-hmm, me too.
And then on November 22nd, Nidhogg 2 comes out.
Yeah.
And Ms. Splosion Man. Now, I'm not familiar with Ms. Splosion Man.
So Ms. Splosion Man is one of like the original like Xbox arcade like indie games on original Xbox. Not 360, right? It's like right before like going into that generation. Is a game that I am also not familiar with, but is one of those like, you know, one of the very early like high profile indie games.
And you pose a question here. When is Killer Queen Black coming out?
Yeah, when is Killer Queen Black coming out? We knew the Nindie Direct said that it would be coming out this year. And we're running out of this year.
But that was like a million years ago. I feel like these dates are very loose.
Well, hold on, because we're using the word year literally and figuratively in the same conversation. I just think we need to be careful.
Okay, it is figuratively a million years ago that
it was announced for sometime this year.
Literally.
Yeah, I want to play Killer Queen Black. And do I have to wait until like Christmas playing it with my family? I guess that's okay because there'll be a lot of people there to play.
Well, and maybe it slipped to early 2019.
Oh, don't you think we should know about that?
I don't know. I still have memories of Pocket Rumble.
Yes, Pocket Rumble.
Here's a fun thing we could do if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We could sing Killer Queen Black to the tune of Killer Queen.
Okay, I feel like these are becoming less creative as we go. All right, Mark, let's close out of this segment. And now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we are going to be talking about Thanksgiving sides. So, I don't eat meat, as you well know. So Thanksgiving for me in the last couple of years has become an exercise in sides. There's no turkey for me. I can't eat that turkey.
Is there something on Thanksgiving that you're like, this is our main course, and everything else is accoutrement?
Yeah, when we present, when it's Sarah and Patrick present Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So sometimes yes, but that doesn't improve the meal any, because it's always like some sort of like ring of squash stuffed with stuff. But it's like, we're just going to have squash in some other form. And the stuff that we're stuffing it with is stuffing. The stuff that stuffs the stuff is stuffing. And like, there's also just going to be stuffing on top of that.
Meat substitutes. Tofurkey.
No,
thank you.
I don't need it. I don't need it. Where do you come down on the necessity of turkey or like a main like that on Thanksgiving?
Well, my husband does not like turkey.
There you go.
And I don't like ham.
Interesting.
So our options are whittling down to like traditional Thanksgiving dishes.
Hamburgers.
Like, this is very, quickly. I don't even know what you do at that point.
Right. So what would you say are do you have like a go-to side or like a side that you're excited about when it comes to Thanksgiving?
Layered Jell-O.
Oh, really?
Yep.
My family always used to call that a salad. And I don't know if that was because it was on a single gigantic piece of iceberg lettuce.
Was there fruit in there?
Yeah.
Oh, see, no. That's not at all what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Lay it on me.
Here's what I'm talking about.
Right.
A layer of one flavor of Jell-O.
Right.
Cool Whip. Another layer of Jell-O.
Uh-huh.
Cool Whip. Another layer of Jell-O. This could go on for as many layers as you are willing to do.
Right.
Cool Whip. Sprinkles.
Sprinkles?
Yeah.
The sprinkles seem decadent.
Yeah, the 5 layers of Jell-O. Those were reasonable.
And Cool Whip. And is the Cool Whip dyed like a color, or is it always just...
No, that'd be garish.
You made a weird face
That'd
at me.
be garish.
I was asking a question.
Not tacky. No, here's the thing about layered Jell-O.
Yeah.
It's like all the other Thanksgiving sides, which I enjoy, like mashed potatoes, corn, sweet potato, whatever.
Yeah.
That's just food. You can have that on a regular... there's nothing special about mashed potatoes.
But you don't. You don't have mashed potatoes on a regular basis.
I have it on a fairly regular basis.
How regular are you having mashed potatoes?
I don't know, maybe like once or twice a month.
No, you are not. You are having mashed potatoes maybe once every other month. Maybe. That seems too frequent. You are not having mashed potatoes
call
that
me a
frequently.
liar about how many mashed potatoes I eat a month.
Well, okay, sweet potatoes, though.
Oh, yeah, sweet potatoes I have very rarely.
Right.
Because, who has the time for that? But layered Jell-O, you have maybe once a year.
Sure.
At Thanksgiving. So it's special to me.
I feel like it pops up at Christmas time, too.
Maybe in your family.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in my family.
It sounds like you guys didn't even have layered Jello. It sounds like you had gross Jello salad on top of iceberg lettuce.
It was bad.
Who wants that?
No one. Here's what I do like about Thanksgiving sides: stuffing. And you don't have stuffing any other time of year. There's nothing like stuffing. Even it's like bread soaked in something, and then like maybe there's celery.
turkey juice,
broth of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
What we make for Thursday will be like soaked in veggie broth. I like stuffing.
What is veggie broth? Well, I guess we'll never know.
We will in fact never know. We were accompanied today by the pianist Armin Fuchs. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
I think that was maybe our most contentious 433 ever.
Yeah, but look, we're festive and in the mood to celebrate holidays, and holidays are personal to everyone. So we're gonna put these two very personal things next to each other, and it's gonna get heated.
The Detective Pikachu trailer came out last week.
Speaking of things getting heated,
I was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did.
Yeah, I was expecting to. Were you expecting to dislike it, or
no? I was expecting to be like, "Oh, this is not for me."
Yes, which is actually how I feel about most Pokemon things. Period, but very much so about Pokemon things that aren't video games. I'm just like, maybe it'll be cute. I don't need it. But the trailer itself actually seems kind of awesome.
Yeah, afterwards I was like, maybe I do need this.
Yeah.
It was really fun. It feels like it got like the tone right.
Yes.
And one of the big takeaways for me was it makes sense that the Pokemon would have texture. Yeah. That they would have like fur or whatever.
We got to talk about this.
But it was still shocking to me when I saw it in action.
Well, because there are some Pokemon that I think like the mind doesn't have that hard of a time being like, okay, this thing would have scales. Okay, this thing would have fur. Like the Pikachu with fur, you're like, it's not what I'm used to seeing, but like I get it. The thing that threw me the most was the Jigglypuff. And this Jigglypuff seems like it has had a long day, right? It is haggard. Like furry and gross, and I love it.
The internet loves it too.
Oh yeah, it's great. Have you seen the A Star Is Born memes with it, where it's like, I just want to get one more look at you, and it's just a Jigglypuff again? It's good. Look it up. Yeah, I'm excited about this movie. Do you know what it feels like to me?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
which also walked a very thin line in like tonally, and pulled it off.
Yeah, where it's like, are you being silly? Are you being serious? The answer to both questions simultaneously is yes. So yeah, I'm all there for it. It may still prove to be like a crappy, cheesy movie.
Absolutely.
Like the first part of the trailer I think is great, and like that little tag at the end with Mr. Mime is very funny. But like as it's ramping up to like its conclusion, and you can hear Ryan Reynolds' voice as Detective Pikachu being like, there's some kind of magic that brought us together. That's where I'm like, oh, okay, it is still a Pokemon movie. Like it's still gonna be driven by some pretty like juvenile base emotional beats. But maybe it'll be fun and look cool.
Comes out I think next May.
Yeah, and we got to do an episode about this thing.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Man, it's going to be so fun.
I'm already excited.
Mm-hmm.
The final build of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is in the wild, which to me seems like a little crazy, but the game is only like 2 weeks away at this point.
Yeah, December 7th is so soon. So soon. What do you say? 2 weeks away.
And the internet is starting to collate some of the details of the game. Like, for instance, though Cloud is in the game, there isn't very much Final Fantasy music, just the same 2 tracks that were in Smash 4.
So, well, we've seen that Simon Belmont and the other Belmont that's in here, Richter, bring like a whole host of Castlevania tracks. It seems like Square Enix is still being a little bit stingy about what all they will allow to go with Cloud to Smash. His Midgar stage is still in there, but it does seem like they're hanging on to it or being a little like precious.
Yeah, it's almost like you can have the stuff that was there before, but no
more.
And at a press event, Nintendo reps told attendees that they should be able to unlock the entire roster of characters in a few hours.
Right. So, well, you only start the game with like 8 characters, the original lineup of Smash Brothers from the Nintendo 64, and have to unlock the other 62 of them over the course of play. That you should be able to do it, without like obsessing about the game.
And we had heard something to that effect. I think at E3 where they talked about the that they would make it easier or faster to unlock different characters.
Yeah, well, and Smash has always been good about there being multiple ways to unlock characters. That like if you're just playing enough times, like you're going to accidentally stumble into them all over the place. Like use Mario 3 times and you got Dr. Mario.
Especially in a roster this big, it seems like it'll probably be happening very frequently.
Yeah.
GameStop has announced their Black Friday deals, and one of them is for the Nintendo Switch Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle. So for $300 or $299.99, you also get a $50 GameStop gift card.
Which is a pretty good deal if you don't have a Switch and you were going to buy Mario Kart anyway. I mean, I guess the bundle is already only $300, but to get the Switch and the game, and it's like you're getting the Switch for like $190, which is pretty good.
Yeah. And like with the $50 GameStop gift card, you could probably pick up a second game or pretty close to it.
Yeah, you could get most of Super Mario Odyssey.
Also, sales pricing on a bunch of Switch games, including LA Noire for $9.99, Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Dragon Ball Fighters for $29.99, Crash Bandicoot Collection for $29.99, and others, including Sonic Forces for $24.99.
Which raises the question, because we've been keeping an eye on Sonic Forces. As you know, we have the Sonic Forces borrowing program. If you would like to borrow a copy of it, just email your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
And we've been saying it takes a long time to pass this thing around. Would it make sense to get a second copy of it? And Mark said, surely the game can't still cost $40.
Assumed it was like $10.
Yeah, nope. It is still $40, but we might be able to pick one up this week of Black Friday for $25,
which even then is a lot.
It seems like too much.
This past week, Sony announced that they'll be skipping E3 2019.
Okay, so we have got to be the video game podcast talking about this the latest, right? First of all, we are like 25 minutes into this episode, and we're not screaming about this yet. This is a huge seismic shift to E3. They take up, they have this press conference on Monday night, the week of E3, which is a big deal and is exciting. But just their footprint on the show floor at E3 is enormous. It is literally like right across the aisle from Nintendo and takes up as much space and is taller. Like just goes on forever. This last
it's usually
year,
like 2 stories.
Yeah, Nintendo also had like a second story, but like Sony's, I believe there was like a second story of stuff that you could like go and play. But they had these pillars that just like reached up like just like all the way to the ceiling. So like it seems like this is an enormous hole to fill, both in terms of like just the show floor and then just like programmatically speaking, what the week of E3 is. Without PlayStation, we don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, so I guess a couple of things.
Yeah.
One, after this was announced on like Kotaku and other sites, it seems like the PlayStation 5 is going to be coming out in 2020.
Sure. So that is sort of a little bit of the scuttlebutt. PlayStation also not canceled, but announced that they would not be holding the PlayStation Experience, which is a convention that they've held in Anaheim the last couple of years, in December. I went last year. It was fun, but it was light last year, especially compared to years previous. And both at it and at E3 last year, they were kind of showing the same games. Like, I guess they were showing God of War, which has since come out, but like Last of Us 2 and all of the big Sony games that are coming out, they've sort of done whatever like push they can for these things.
Yeah, so I feel like that's one factor.
Yeah,
that's why they'd skip. The second factor is, like you were saying, they maybe don't have any like huge games to announce, for the like PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah, because
why why spend all the money?
Yeah.
And why put on this? And why spend the money and put on a big show just to get screamed at on the internet?
Yeah, right. Well, and yeah, exactly. Like if they show off Death Stranding again or Ghost of Tsushima again, it'll be like a point of frustration, I think. And they obviously have games for whatever the next PlayStation is, like in the docket that I'm sure they would actually love to start teasing now, but can't because they don't have either like whatever the marketing plan set in place for PlayStation 5. Do you think, and I think this has also been like sort of a rumor circulating, that there will be some sort of announcement event that Sony holds like separate to E3 and separate to like the PlayStation experience to like unveil the PlayStation 5?
If the PlayStation 5 comes out in 2020, I don't think we'll hear anything about it. I think it'll basically be like a repeat of the PlayStation 4, where the console's released in the fall of 2020, and like in March of 2020, it's revealed.
Right, and at less of an event and more. They did have a thing in New York, right? It was just like,
yeah, I mean,
I think
a
one night like press event.
Yeah, but it was like a pretty big, like reveal.
Uh-huh.
But I just don't think they benefit any from getting out like 18 months ahead of, or even a year ahead of like when the thing is going to release.
Do you think that the big consoles still need to release in the fall?
No, I mean, I don't think they have to if they don't want to.
But I mean, that's Sony's. I don't know when the PlayStation 2 came out, but the PlayStation 3 and 4 both came out in November.
I mean, it's a great time to release anything.
Right, because people are about to buy a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wonder if the Nintendo Switch changed any of that. Just because it was, I mean, it didn't even sell really enormous numbers when it came out, but it was like the talk of the town, and you couldn't get one, and all of this kind of stuff. So I wonder if like they're looking at that and seeing like, oh, maybe March or the spring is a viable time to actually release hardware.
Yeah, I mean, totally possible. And I guess the third part of why I think that Sony's probably skipping E3 is, like you were saying, like, to attend E3 and to have a booth at E3 is incredibly expensive.
Yes.
And it's less and less necessary to get your message to like fans or to the press. Like Sony could just hold their own conference at any time.
Right. And in fact, they have traditionally held their own conference in Anaheim.
Yeah. And so just like they can garner as much attention there as they would competing with all the other announcements at E3.
So let me ask you this. Nintendo obviously doesn't do a presentation around E3, but they do have their
or they don't do like a live press conference anymore.
Right. Yeah. They do a Nintendo Direct, and then they do like live from the Treehouse, which is there. And then a huge presence on the show floor, and like all of this like really garish. It's like a little Nintendo museum in there. This last year it was all Smash Brothers stuff. The year before it was New Donk City, and the year before that was all Zelda. But like, so Nintendo is like, okay, we don't do the live presentation, but we still are present on the floor. I mean, what does it mean that like Sony can just be like, nah, we don't need to be present on the floor?
I mean, we've seen that with like other big companies, EA,
yeah,
or Rockstar. Like
I mean, Rockstar plays by their own rules,
right? But
I mean, is Sony maybe starting to like be in that stratosphere now of like, we play by our own rules, we do whatever we want?
And I mean, I just don't think companies really need E3.
Sure.
Although, when Sony made this announcement shortly afterwards, E3 put out or the Entertainment Software Association, which is the industry group that organizes E3, put out a press release being like, everything's fine.
We're okay.
We're as strong as ever.
Don't worry about us.
It was titled, Industry Momentum Will Drive E3 2019 to New Heights.
New heights.
And here's the Nintendo relation to this story.
What show are we doing?
In it, in that press release, Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president of Nintendo of America, confirmed that Nintendo will be present at E3 2019. And they even included a quote from Reggie Fils-Aimé saying, Every year, we discuss what will be the best way for us to take advantage of the next E3 show in order to bring smiles to people's faces.
Great quote. Do you think this means, Mark, will you go on the record now, saying that Nintendo at E3 2019 will announce that they have purchased PlayStation, and that is why PlayStation is not appearing at the event, is because Nintendo has shut
it doesn't
them down
exist anymore.
to retool it, and then we're going to get, Nathan Drake in Smash 6.
Book it. Bound to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie was apparently in a talking mood.
I like it when Reggie talks.
Yeah, I guess he was doing the rounds of press tour, and I guess probably in conjunction with the release of Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah, or Smash. Like they've got.
Or just like the holiday season
weeks,
in general. So yeah, he was gabbing it up with a lot of places. In an interview with Mashable, he said that Nintendo has internal expectations for when Metroid Prime 4 will release, and that the game is well into development.
Internal expectations.
Sure, so they're probably like penciling it in for 2020.
Thursday.
Yeah. If they can squeeze it in, then if not, they'll reschedule for a couple of weeks.
No big deal.
But I guess that makes sense. They're not.
Yeah, that it's not a far off distant title. It is something that will actually come out, which I guess is a weird distinction to make. But if you were to ask me just back on Sony for a second, when is Dreams coming out, or when is what's a zombie game with a bunch of zombies in it?
Dreams?
No, it's. When's Dreams gonna come out?
I don't know. Haven't we been talking about that game? I mean, we haven't been talking about that game, but that game was announced a million years ago.
It was announced at the event that we were alluding to before, that PlayStation 4 reveal event. Dreams was announced then. It looks cool. I want to play Dreams.
Do you play that game?
Yeah. You play it and you make it.
Oh,
right. It looks cool.
In an interview with Kotaku, Reggie said that the company hasn't ruled out an N64 Classic Edition, but that it's, quote, not in our planning horizon.
I still don't see how this thing would work.
I think you're right.
I
want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag X-Files, but
X-Files, but... Okay, look. We don't control first-person shooters the way that we used to on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I think if you released an N64 Classic Edition and it had an N64 controller, nobody would know how to hold that thing.
No one would know how to hold it, and even once they figured out how to hold it, do you remember how to control James Bond?
No.
In GoldenEye? Because it's a nightmare. It doesn't make sense. We are so used to twin-stick first-person shooters that introducing another method of control it's impossible. It's like learning to fly a jet. And also, you're not going to see GoldenEye on this thing, or Perfect Dark, because those are both made by Rare. Also, the James Bond license. Any of the games that you want to be on this thing aren't going to be on this thing. And what are you going to get, 4 N64 controllers to plug into this thing? No, it's just not. It's not a feasible, viable system. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
He noted that Nintendo viewed the Classic Edition consoles as a limited time opportunity to bridge business between the Wii U and the Switch. And that actually does make sense.
Yeah, plus you can use your controllers to play classic games on the Wii U.
Interesting to note that you can't use your NES Classic Edition controller to play games, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, you might be able to use it. I didn't test this. You might be able to use it on NES games.
That would follow.
But you cannot use it on Game Boy Advance games because they don't have the shoulder buttons.
Well, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Also in Kotaku, Reggie reiterated that Nintendo president, he reiterated what Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa expressed in the company's second quarter earnings Q&A, which we talked about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, that post-release content updates are a critical tactic that, quote, can drive ongoing engagement both with that particular game and to the platform, end quote.
I really like this. It makes me hopeful that we will get substantive additional content for all of the great Switch games that came out in 2017, and there were good games that came out this year as well, but I feel like 2017 is the sort of banner year for the Switch. And maybe 2019 will also be that. But man, it would be great to get more Mario Odyssey. It would be great to get more Mario Kart. It would be great to get more Splatoon. Not that we don't always get more Splatoon. And of course, Zelda.
Yeah, I feel like all of those games have already gotten a lot of post-release content. I think it's interesting to me that the even like the smaller like B tier titles like Mario Tennis Aces, and we're seeing it with Kirby Star Allies, like they're getting who knows how long it'll last, but it seems like they're pretty much following a like 1 year cycle with all of these games.
Yeah, but I mean, all of that is. I wonder if what they're saying now is different from the sort of like drips and drabs approach that we've gotten from Splatoon, from Mario Tennis, from Kirby, where like we get new stuff, but it's like, here's a new Dream Friend, or like, here's a new gun in Splatoon. Like, you're never really, not never, but it is not often that you're getting like a new set of, tracks for Mario Kart or something like that, like new dungeons or areas to explore, or kingdoms in Mario Odyssey. And I feel like that's the kind of stuff that when, I'm thinking about what would really bring me back to a game, not some like cosmetic things and not some like mini game mode or something like that, but like a new kingdom, a new divine beast. Like these are the kind of things that'll get me back into these games.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's totally true, but I think that can be balanced with
Absolutely.
like the smaller updates, like Luigi's Balloon, whatever that's
World.
called. Yeah, Balloon World. That's like a substantive update, but it's not as big as like a new kingdom or something.
Right. I mean, something that is going to involve like some serious R&D. Like Luigi's Balloon World is sort of just like a way for them to hack the existing assets and like create a mini game with what's already there. But yeah, if they were actually like molding something from the ground up as a new area for that or for any of these games, I feel like that would drive a lot of people back to those games.
Reggie also noted that the Breath of the Wild DLC has done exceptionally well.
Good for the Breath of the Wild DLC.
This might just be news for Patrick.
Thank you.
But the Messenger is getting a quality of life update.
That's good.
It includes a new game plus mode with some kind of twist.
I can explain the twist.
Okay.
So when you beat the Messenger, you can do a new game plus where you get you get all of like the base items again for like your second run through, and you get to choose like one of the like more special items from your first playthrough to like carry over to the next one. And then you can play through again, and so that's like your new game plus one, and then you can do the next time through new game plus two, plus three, and it gets harder every time, and you're slowly like amassing all of the things that you collect each time. So it's somewhere like at plus 18 or plus 19 or something like that you just start the game with all the stuff, but all the bad guys are dealing like 500% damage and you're like chipping away at them. I don't know that I would ever do this, but it seems like fun.
They're also going to announce what's next for the Messenger at the Kind of Funny showcase on December 8th.
I'm excited for what's next for the Messenger. I'm enjoying this game, Mark.
And finally, this last weekend, Splatfest resulted in a 3-0 victory for Team Salsa over Team Guacamole. And Patrick did a little editorializing here, saying that once again, this proves that there is no such thing as justice in this world. But of course, I'm gloating because even though I didn't log in and participate, I am Team Salsa. Well, and not just because it was the winning team. It's on the record. You can go back and listen to it.
That is true. You can go back and listen to it just last week, not 2 weeks ago. And look, this is my fault. I did not participate in the Splatfest.
Oh yeah, you would have tipped the scales for sure.
I decided I'm going to leave that to other people. That's not my responsibility. So I guess I waived my right to
complain,
be upset about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let that be a lesson. Everybody should
participate in Splatfest. Yeah. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. That sort of thing helps us a lot. If you like this episode, please share it on whatever you share stuff on, Facebook or Twitter or in real life. On Twitter, I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nincart. Oh my God. The show is at Nincart Society. You can check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, "A golden sun, won't you come?" And thanks for listening.